The new moon in Sagittarius on Friday, December 19th, encourages a perspective shift. As it squares Neptune while being ruled by Jupiter Retrograde, it encourages you to strip away fantasies, illusions, and fears that are holding you back from becoming your true self. Let's take a closer look at this new moon and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I am a traditional Western astrologer and astrology teacher specializing in doing readings, teaching classes, creating products. I work with a variety of modalities in astrology, and I'm really happy to bring you all of my knowledge and sometimes my products as well. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new, welcome. Stay for a while. If you've been here before and you enjoy my work, please show your support by leaving a like, a comment, subscribing, press the notification bell, hype my video. You can do it for free 3 times a week. It is all super cool and important. You can also say thank you by buying me a tea, a coffee, and some other token of appreciation. Thank you for that. For more personal advice, if you're seeking that one-on-one content that an individual reading can give you, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com. My year ahead horoscopes are currently discounted, and I'm also doing a 2026 breakdown webinar with Rux of Written in the Stars by Rux. You can join us by checking out the information in the description as well. So on my website, you can book a personal reading. Like I said, take advantage of the year ahead discount, and take a look at all of my other offerings. My predictive astrology course begins in March 2026. It's dedicated to forecasting with transit, solar returns, and annual perfections. You can pick up my 2026 planner on my website. It has 227 pages full of content with astrological breakdowns, retrograde dates, breakdowns of the month, description of the transits, calendars, journaling prompts, ritual suggestions, lucky dates, best dates for relationships and dating, difficult dates. All of that can be found in the planner. And as you know, I create products. This is my biggest lunar candle. It is really big compared to the general size. This one captures the moon in Cancer, and it smells like almond macaron. I call this almond moon. It is perfect for manifestation, using it on the new moon to set your intentions, to call things into existence. It has a very soothing, relaxing, powerful energy to improve sleep, fertility, and your emotional well-being. Highly recommend this, like I said, for every new moon. It will last you forever because of how big it is. And especially recommend this if you were born with the moon in Capricorn or Scorpio, if your moon conjoins Saturn, Uranus, or Neptune, if it's placed in the 6th, 8th, or 12th houses. This is the one. Also, if your moon is next to Pluto, I find people with the moon in Pluto are quite, it's not the easiest. Definitely not. Okay. So we're talking about the new moon in Sagittarius. It occurs on Friday, December 19th at 28 degrees, 24 minutes Sagittarius at 4:43 p.m. Eastern time. So adjusted for your time zone. You will feel this especially strongly if you have planets between 25 and 29 degrees of Sagittarius, Gemini, Virgo, or Pisces, because then the new moon is looking directly at one of your placements. It is supportive for 25 to 29 Aries and Leo placements, really nice, as well as Libra and Aquarius, because then there is a sextile or a trine to your placement. So you can also check out whether you have anything between 25 and 29, those signs. The new moon is the sun and the moon coming together to make a baby. It's not always a literal baby. In fact, quite often it's an intellectual idea, child, right? It could be a professional baby, any other kind of child, right? But it's a new beginning. It's a major new beginning. And in Sagittarius, we're dealing with immutable, fiery sign, all about ideals. Sagittarius is very adventurous. It wants to go on a mission. It needs to have a purpose. So it's very sort of truth and unity oriented sign. So this new moon will have very strong growth orientation and may encourage you to look into travel and learning and teaching and guiding people, right? You can see people sort of coming to their own and deciding to share their wisdom with others. However, there are some difficult aspects that you have to deal with during this new moon, and that is the first and foremost is the square to Neptune, because the new moon is at 28-24 and it squares Neptune just a degree away at 29-23 Pisces. And the sun and moon would have previously squared Saturn at 25-35 Pisces. So there is a sense of something dissolving. There is a sense of, when the sun and moon square Saturn, your ideals get tested. You've had, for example, let's say you've always had an idea that you needed to make it on your own and to establish yourself in your field without any help from your father, who maybe works in the same industry, and you find out that your father actually did help you out, or your father offers you an opportunity and you're kind of starting to question your beliefs, right? Or you've been trying to have a child and you begin to realize that it's taking a long time, and so maybe you decide to adopt, right? Like the square to Saturn is a little bit of a moment of like reality check. And then the new moon and the sun both square Neptune next, and that can feel like discouragement, disappointment, low energy, a sense of aimlessness, and like, yeah, kind of a sense that you're struggling a little bit. What I do like is that the ruler of this new moon is the exalted Jupiter in Cancer. It is retrograde right now, and when the planets are retrograde, a lot of times they're closer to the core of who we are, because when the planets are moving direct, it's like cars on a highway all traveling at top speed, and they're just kind of caught in the traffic. They have to move forward. Versus when the planet is moving backwards, it's like not following the rules of the traffic. It's being more slow and more mindful and deliberate, because if you're moving backwards on a highway, you better be slow and mindful and deliberate, right? So in a way, Jupiter being the ruler can help you find the truth. So out of some kind of compromises and sacrifices comes a new opportunity, is how I see this new moon. Some other aspects that the moon is making is the conjunction to Venus at 24-11 Sagittarius. There's also Mercury co-present, so we can have some type of opportunity to express ourselves. We have Venus, which is going to try to help out. The sun and the moon are both in the overcoming position in the square, so they kind of have the upper hand. So again, I sort of think that you're going to have to examine your beliefs and your force of beliefs, and like ask yourself, some of the questions I have for this new moon are, where does wanting to be right sabotage acceptance of different opinions and acceptance of different people, right? Where are you being too forceful and too like attached to things? Because Sagittarius is a mutable sign, but Sagittarius often has this fiery force of conviction, and until that fire bumps into an obstacle, it's very determined, right? But then it like hits a wall and it has to move to the side. So it's like, where does being too forceful actually slow you down? Where can you be more gentle in your approach, right? Where can you be more flexible in your approach is the question number 2. And the question number 3 is, where can you welcome more forgiveness versus where should you let things go? Forgiveness versus letting things go. So it's a tricky one. The square to Neptune can suggest tiredness, confusion, disappointment, realization that people are not what you expect of them, realization that the world is not what you thought, right? So feeling like a sense of melancholy and sadness and depression might pop up with this new moon. But again, I think there is hopefulness to it as well. So you just have to be mindful. Before I break it down for all 12 signs, I'd love to remind you that you can book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Year ahead reading is currently discounted. You can save $20 on the in-person reading or $40 on the recorded in the shop on my website. So check out the information in the description. Pick up my 2026 planner or my lunar candle. This is almond moon, but any moon candle is really good for manifestation, for ease and peace. It's like all of them are just so good at soothing you. Every time I light one, I feel like the weight of the world falls off my shoulders. So check it out. And of course, join my upcoming predictive astrology course. It begins very, very soon. Very soon, March 2026. Okay, if you are an Aries rising, there's a new moon in your 9th house. The new moon wants you to go on adventures. It wants you to grow and to open yourself up to new opportunities. The ruler is Jupiter in your 4th house, so it's blessing you right now with a strong home base or opportunities to travel, opportunities to move to a different house, a different city, a different country. However, there is a square between the new moon and Saturn and Neptune in your 12th house. And so Saturn and Neptune in the 12th can suggest that there are some real life obstacles you're dealing with. There may be hidden enemies. There may be you as your enemy, your self-doubt, your fears, your unresolved wounds, right? There may be even some sort of sense of like depression and melancholy that is not allowing you to see the gifts and the bounty the life has to offer. So the new moon in Sagittarius is asking you for a perspective shift. It's asking you to soften a little bit and to work on trusting, because the ruler is Jupiter and the ruler is exalted and empowered and hopeful. It is retrograde, so the suggestion here is that things might take time, but they will result in a happy living situation. They will result in publishing your work or graduating or becoming a teacher or expanding your life in whatever way it is that you are hoping. Some other possibilities here could be, like travel, moving, maybe even overcoming some kind of legal battle, getting a visa, getting a green card, getting some kind of document that you're waiting for. I love this. I love this for spiritual practices like meditation, like yoga, journaling, reading philosophical books, opening yourself up to something new that maybe you didn't quite see for yourself. If that includes astrology, join my upcoming predictive astrology course. It begins in March 2026. You can register on my website. You can also book a year ahead reading. It's currently discounted. And pick up my 2026 planner. If you are a Taurus rising, there's a new moon in your 8th house. It's inviting you to welcome new beginnings involving sharing and your give and take dynamics. How much you give to others, how much you take from others. In the professional context, in your romantic life, in your business, right? Maybe things need to be opened up. The ruler is Jupiter in your 3rd, so there is a sense of like you're growing your skills, you're growing your business, you're growing your connections, and the new moon offers you a chance to renegotiate something. There is a square to Saturn and Neptune in the 11th, and you're maybe dealing with some kind of like roadblock, rejection, slowdown that involves an ally you thought you could rely on, a friend maybe disappointing you, a sense of your perfect vision not quite coming to fruition. Let's say you wanted to open an office and you wanted it to look a certain way, but then your business partner is saying that we cannot afford it. So the new moon in the 8th may offer you a chance to get a loan to make your vision come true, to renegotiate some kind of agreement and figure out a more fair dynamic in a relationship. There may be some opportunities to make investments as well. But something comes, like something beautiful and truthful and honest in terms of a relationship can come out of a crisis, right? If you realize that an ally you thought could help you is not trustworthy, you can go in business with your best friend and maybe you enjoy it so much more. Maybe it's like a blessing in disguise, especially with Jupiter in your third house. Basically, look around. Ask for help if necessary. And sometimes the new moon in the 8th can also suggest changes in the partner's money, changes in your earnings, in your bonuses, in like inheritance, any kind of resources that are coming your way. Maybe they come, but there is like a tax that you didn't expect attached to it. Please share how this resonates, and for more, visit my website to book a reading. Year Ahead is discounted right now, to join my upcoming predictive astrology course, and pick up my 2026 planner. If you are a Gemini rising, there's a new moon in your 7th house, the domain of relationships, partnerships, contracts, and agreements, and it ushers in new beginnings. Jupiter is in your 2nd, so you're maybe focusing on building your self-worth, maybe building your wealth, maybe there's new professional opportunities, and so the new moon in the 7th is this chance to kind of take a leap of faith, right? Sagittarius is very good at like following the goals. It has the arrow, it has the half horse part of the body where it can follow and rush towards the dreams. However, there is a square to Saturn and Neptune in the 10th. So it's a leap, but you're maybe having to say no to something. You're maybe having to say goodbye to an old job, to maybe quite a comfortable place. But if that doesn't serve you anymore, if you are encouraged to release a fear to get closer to what you want to do and to something that will pay you more and make you happier, then maybe it's time to do it. And the same, there might be new beginnings in your love life that maybe require you to quit your job and move to another country. Or again, some kind of partnership, some kind of contract, something you're signing that makes you feel a little bit like unsure. And I'd say read the fine print. Be careful if you're signing. Don't sign your life away. Have a backup, right? Be reasonable and practical about it. But also work on being more flexible. Don't sort of let the perfect vision be too overpowering so that you're not allowing exciting new opportunities. And if you're looking for more personal advice, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com to book a personal reading. Year Ahead is currently discounted. Information is in the description. You can also join my predictive astrology course. It begins in March, and study with me. And pick up any of my lovely candles and oils. This one is like a workout. Candles, oils, and planners. So, if you are a Cancer rising, there's a new moon in your 6th house. It's urging new beginnings in your sector of health, work, service, problem solving, new health routines, new protocols around self-care, new diet, right? New work agreements, maybe working a little less, maybe working from home. The ruler is Jupiter in the 1st, so the suggestion is that you're very body and health conscious right now. So maybe you are, you're really prioritizing wellness. You're starting to eat at specific times. You're choosing nutritious food. You're drinking more water. You're like really prioritizing self-care, which is what this new moon might suggest. There is a square to Saturn and Neptune in the 9th. And that may feel like some type of roadblock, some kind of compromise you have to make that involves education, that involves travel, that involves publishing and writing, and maybe some legal matters. There may be some delays. Let's say you're trying to go on a trip and maybe you get sick and you realize that like, oh, I have to postpone this trip and first get better. And so that's not the worst situation, right? Because you are your top priority and you need to take care of yourself and you need to make sure that you are happy and healthy. And so certain adjustments to a plan that seem to be like clear are possible, and you may feel really terrible because maybe you're disappointing someone, maybe you're feeling disappointment because you're unable to get this like perfect thing that you wanted. So this is a new moon that asks for a lot of grace and flexibility. If you're looking for more personal advice, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Pick up my 2026 planner, join my upcoming predictive astrology course, and of course, all the lunar candles are just what doctor ordered for you. This is almond moon. I also have moon in Cancer. I have exalted moon. You are a moon child, a moon baby. So moon candles are perfect for you. If you are a Leo rising, there's a new moon in your 5th house, the place of joy, pleasure, parenthood, relationships, love, fun, bedroom stuff. Ooh la la. So there's new beginnings here. You're starting a new relationship, you're exploring new passions, you are connecting in the bedroom. The ruler is Jupiter in the 12th, so it's directing you towards spirituality, towards imagination, creativity, maybe foreign lands, maybe fun for you involves traveling to like a yoga school and spending some time taking care of yourself. Or you're writing, you're like very deeply involved in writing something. The difficulty comes in a shape of a square to Neptune in the 8th house and Saturn in the 8th house. So certain compromises will need to be made when it comes to money. So again, maybe your dream is to go on a yoga trip, but you realize that you have this debt to pay. So maybe you can't go to upstate New York, but you can go to somewhere else, right? I don't know, somewhere more affordable. So certain compromises, maybe there are some kind of disagreements and tensions when it comes to parenthood. Maybe your partner doesn't want children and you really want children. And so you're kind of you're grappling with this question of like, do I want to stay with this person? Should I leave? Maybe you find out you're pregnant, right? Or you start a project, but you're kind of dealing with the fact that you're maybe not financially ready. This new moon asks you to be flexible. It asks you to be open-minded and let the universe surprise you. Trust that the universe has your back. Jupiter is about to go into Leo in June 2026, still 6 months away, but still, it's going to go in your 1st house and some fun new beginnings might be coming your way. If you're seeking more personal advice, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com, book your reading. Your head readings are currently discounted. Join my upcoming predictive astrology course, and of course, pick up my 2026 planner. It's a good time to do it. The year begins very, very soon. For Virgo risings, there's a new moon in the 4th house. This is all about new beginnings in your home, in your family, a sense of comfort and security, building yourself a nest, creating yourself a happy place, right? The ruler is Jupiter in the 11th, so you're exploring new dreams. And again, the dreams might involve real estate, the dreams might involve relocating to a different country. The dreams might involve starting a business in the home, right? Maybe you're starting a yoga YouTube channel and you're really focusing on like creating a perfect room to film your yoga videos, which I do not have. I have a yoga channel. It's called Anastasia Does Yoga. Please follow me. I have been filming outside a lot, and lately I've been filming here. And there is not enough space at all, but hey, I'm still doing it. I still love yoga, so why not? So the more difficult energy comes from a square to Saturn and Neptune in the 7th house, and this might suggest that there is some kind of tension, friction, challenges, and obstacles coming from your sector of relationships, contracts, agreements. So let's say you are building a new room in your house, and maybe your contractor disappoints you and doesn't deliver. So maybe it's an opportunity to find a new contractor. Maybe it's an opportunity to be more flexible and see what you're working with and try to mix things up, change them up. Maybe there's a disagreement between you and your partner on where you see yourself, where you want to live. Definitely opportunities to sort of figure out what kind of obstacles are insurmountable and what kind of obstacles you can, which ones you can overcome, which ones you cannot overcome. But yeah, new beginnings in relationships, home and family that maybe come out of some kind of crisis and disagreement. For more, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com to book your reading or register for my upcoming predictive astrology course. And of course, pick up my 2026 planner. For Libra rising, there is a new moon in the 3rd house ruled by Jupiter in the 10th in a square to Neptune in the 6th. So as a Libra rising myself, I feel like I have a pretty decent bird's eye view a lot of times of our sign. But I feel like with the Neptune, the square to Neptune in the 6th might suggest a health issue, might suggest a burnout, an overwhelmed, a sense of confusion in the work environment. Maybe some kind of, like you've been sacrificing for something, you've been bleeding over something and working really hard on something, and it maybe feels like you've done too much or you're too tired and you're kind of over things. Yet the new moon in the 3rd is asking you to go within and to ask yourself what brings you joy. And it may be writing, it may be speaking, it may be poetry, it may be astrology, right? It encourages you to connect with your passions, to connect with your skills and talents. And with Jupiter ruling it in the 10th house, it's almost like, how can you take those things you love and bring them in your career? Or what do you need to learn to improve your career? So there may be some kind of new beginnings that involve you starting a business, that involve you changing your schedule, that maybe come out of initially a sense of burnout and maybe even some kind of rejection, right? Like having a bunch of planets in the 3rd house square Saturn in the 6th doesn't feel like a whole ton of like success and motivation. So maybe if you've been like sort of hitting things in yourself too hard, this is an opportunity to like open it up and think of what brings you joy and what makes you happy, and how can you maybe get your siblings involved, get your mind involved, get your passions and interests involved, and learn something new, express something new, shift the way you do things. It's time to shift it up. For more, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com to book your personal reading, register for my upcoming predictive astrology course, or pick up any of my planners, candles, and other things. If you are a Scorpio rising, there's a new moon in your 2nd house, ruled by Jupiter in the 9th and a square to Saturn in the 5th. So, Saturn and Neptune primarily. So the new moon in the 2nd is about new beliefs when it comes to money, when it comes to values, when it comes to your pay, your finances. So money, values, and priorities, right? There may be new financial opportunities coming your way, new professional opportunities coming your way. With Jupiter ruling the new moon from the 9th house, these opportunities might involve travel or teaching or writing or some kind of law. Maybe you're a lawyer. However, the square to Neptune in the 5th and Saturn in the 5th as well suggests that maybe there's some compromises and some sacrifices and some obstacles that you're going to have to deal with that involve love, pleasure, children, creativity, that maybe you're taking this new opportunity, but it somehow feels like it's going to stifle your joyful self-expression, or maybe it's going to take you away from your child, or maybe it's going to disagree with your love for spending time with your partner, right? So there's of course opportunities for problem solving and figuring out some compromises. But be open-minded, because sometimes maybe you need to rethink things. Maybe sometimes you will say no to an opportunity because you want a better one to come around that will, I think the big question here is like, what is most important to you? what is your non-negotiables when it comes to work, when it comes to relationships, and then work from there, because there will be some things that you can compromise on and there will be other things that you cannot. For more, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com to book your personal reading. Year ahead is currently discounted. Information is in the description. Join my predictive astrology course and, of course, pick up your 2026 planner. For Sagittarius rising, there's a new moon in your house of identity. New beginnings in how you see yourself and how you take care of your body and who you are and where you are, right? The ruler is Jupiter in the 8th. So you're driven by a desire to, for some of you, it will be about exploring something maybe like metaphysical with Jupiter in the 8th. There is maybe a strong interest in mysteries and astrology and spirituality and healing type of work. And so you're reinventing yourself based on that. There is a square to Saturn and Neptune in the 4th, so some kind of obstacles and difficulties may come from your family. Maybe your family doesn't agree with your interest in those topics. For others, there may be a new development in your relationship. You're moving in with your significant other, you're getting married, you are maybe supporting them financially for the time being if they just have gone through some kind of financial situation. Or you're starting a business with them. But the square to Saturn and Neptune in the 4th, I think, suggests that some compromises and sacrifices involving home, family, and living situation will be required. Maybe, like I said, family members don't agree with what's happening. Maybe there is some kind of property situation, like you want to move to a new place to be with your significant other, but you just bought a new house and you're not allowed to rent it out. So there may be some type of obstacles you're working around, right? Sometimes Saturn and Neptune can also reveal any pain and responsibilities and duties in the home that are weighing down on you and feeling really heavy. And so the new moon in the 1st might be your chance to process some of the pain and to set better boundaries and to figure out how you can be a loving daughter, but also be fully truthful to yourself and what you want to do. But yeah, practice flexibility. For more, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com to book your reading, to join my upcoming predictive astrology course, and to pick up your planner. If you are a Capricorn rising, there's a new moon in your 12th house. This is your private sector. This is all about new beginnings in your mental health. Maybe you're signing up to start therapy, new beginnings in imagination. There could be spiritual projects, creative projects that you're working on in the privacy of your home, or maybe not sharing it with the world yet. This can also be really good for new routines that make your life better. Going to bed early, taking care of your, drinking less, right? Scrolling less, a lot of sort of happy patterns. The ruler is Jupiter in the 7th, so your focus might lie in either taking your spiritual gifts and turning them into a business opportunity, or releasing bad habits so that your relationships can be better. However, there is a square to Neptune and Saturn in the 3rd house. So the square to Neptune and Saturn can suggest that there's like a sense of difficulty and obstacles to your speech, to your writing. There is maybe some kind of heavy, difficult conversations, maybe some kind of compromise required in regards to siblings and neighbors. So something may be weighing heavy on your mind, and something can make you feel sort of disappointed, melancholic. Maybe an opportunity, maybe like a business deal falls through, but then the new moon in Sagittarius is a chance to like take a step back, slow down, lean into self-care. You are your top priority, and then everything else will fall into place. So it's kind of this reminder that stillness can provide a lot of answers. For more, visit anastasiadoesastrology.com to book your personal reading, to register for my upcoming predictive astrology course, and to pick up my 2026 planner. If you are an Aquarius rising, there's a new moon in your 11th house ruled by Jupiter in the 6th and the square to Saturn in the 2nd. So out of friction, Saturn and Neptune. I keep saying Saturn because it's written Saturn in my notes, but it's Saturn. Primarily it's Neptune, and Saturn is also there hanging out. So there may be some type of confusion when it comes to money. There may be some type of sacrifice. There may be like an investment you're making or a job you're negotiating where you find out that what you're making is a little less. And the new moon in the 11th is all about new dreams and new role in the community and new projects. So it's maybe a situation that you're taking a pay cut for the promise of something better. And maybe you're taking some kind of financial, like Saturn and Neptune might suggest that you're not quite happy with what's happening with your finances. But I think the new moon in Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter in the 6th, says that the investment is going to be worth it. Especially if you're clear on what you want. The new moon in the 11th can also be about finding allies and building alliances. And maybe it's, again, you're sort of starting a partnership and you have to be the one to put the 20% down on the rental office you're taking. So there may be these like compromises and a sense of uncertainty, but as long as you're leaning into what you want and you're being honest and truthful and you're pursuing dreams and collaborations and new sort of goals that can serve the larger world, the world at large, I think you'll be fine. So yeah, I like this for new relationships, new dreams, new pursuits, and finding like a sense of belonging that also benefits not just you, but people around you. Visit my website, anastasiadasastrology.com, to book a reading. Year ahead is discounted, information in the description. Join my predictive astrology course and pick up my 2026 planner. If you are a Pisces rising, there is a new moon in your 10th house. It's ruled by Jupiter in the 5th and it squares Neptune and Saturn in the 1st. So Neptune and Saturn in the 1st suggests that you're maybe feeling tired, you're feeling burnt out, you're feeling somehow restricted, right? And it's maybe connected to you looking at your age or you being a parent and having to do things for your child and having to put all the duties and obligations first. There is something that feels like, you know, it's like serious decisions and maybe some kind of sense of like, maybe you're worrying about being too old to start a new job, or, you know, your health is giving you issues or whatever. Like something is more about like you being hard on yourself is what I'm getting from Neptune squaring this new moon. However, the ruler is Jupiter in the 5th and the new moon is in the 10th house of career. So I think there is an invitation here to make changes to your professional life and be ready to compromise. It's almost like quit this job because it's been driving you up the wall. And yes, maybe you don't have another job lined up yet, but it will be good for you. And yes, it's going to stress you out more because you have all these obligations. But if you don't take a leap, sometimes you're not going to change anything. So the new moon in the 10th, ruled by Jupiter in the 5th, is really urging you to make professional choices that involve creativity, that involve more pleasure, more joy, that involve your passions, that even involve spending more time with children or running a kindergarten, working with children, doing something for children, and connecting with your inner child and your inner joy. I'd love to hear how this sparks your mind, how this resonates. And if you're seeking more, visit my website to book a personal reading. Year ahead ones are currently discounted. Information is in the description. And join my upcoming predictive astrology course. It begins in March 2026. Of course, there's also a planner, moon candles, oils, and all the other great things. Thank you so much for watching and for supporting me. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. If you want to join my upcoming 2026 Horoscopes webinar I'm doing with Rox, check out, there's information down below as well. And that webinar is recorded, so if you can't attend live, no worries, you'll get a recording afterwards. And I will see you very soon. Bye.